So welcome. In this video, I want to show you through what I call the 9 pillars of health mastery. And what I've discovered is that in order to recover from a chronic illness, we have to look at many different aspects of our life. Now, our conventional system has taught us to mainly look at the physical. In other words, if we have a physical problem, we deal with it physically. And that has usually either been through medication or surgery or supplements, or maybe it's been through food and exercise. And that is all well and good. Sometimes we need surgery, sometimes we need medication, sometimes it's useful to take supplements, and it's definitely important what we eat and how we exercise. However, as I've discovered, the real root cause of illness starts in the mind, and it starts at an emotional stress level, and even more than that. So over the years, I've noticed that there are different areas of our life that need to be addressed in order to reduce and clear symptoms. And it will be different for each person because we're all completely unique human beings. So whilst there are these 9 pillars or 9 levels of health mastery, it's going to be different for each person what they need. So I'm just going to talk you through these 9 levels and just give a little bit of a taste of what needs to be addressed, or what would be addressed if you were working with me as a private coaching client. And as I said, bear in mind that it's going to be different for each person. And once we've done the initial Kiwi Health Detective breakthrough session, I will know which of these levels you will need. So first of all, stress management. Now, Harvard University have already shown that at least 80% of illness is stress related. And in my experience, I'd put it much higher. So we're going to have to learn what is stress, what is it doing to our body, and how can we, in very practical ways, reduce it. And I have a 5-step method for reducing stress, because there is a difference between what I call internal stressors and external stressors. And so we have to really look at our total life. We have to look at stresses that are created in the mind, stresses that are created through emotions, through our environment, through our habits, our behaviors. And we have to learn to reduce those stressors, and then we have to put in or add in de-stressing strategies and techniques. So that is all about stress management. Then the next one is emotional management. And as I've learned, and as many of my clients have learned, the storing of emotions inside of us, such as fear, anger, frustration, sadness, grief, shame, all these so-called negative emotions, when we unconsciously store them inside our body, they literally start to rewire the cells into a state of dis-ease, and eventually that dis-ease becomes disease. So we must learn how to identify and notice our feelings or emotions, and how to clear them from our body, because they are just as toxic as putting toxic substances into our body. And in fact, when we have toxic emotions like anger, sadness, grief, fear, etc., stored inside our body, they negatively affect the internal organs, and they will change the functioning or prevent the optimal or normal functioning of the internal organs. They have that strong an effect. So we must learn how to clear our emotions from our body. The next area is what I call lifestyle management. And so what we're going to have to learn to do, and this is in tandem with stress management, and actually all these 9 levels, they completely interlink and interrelate. We can't really totally separate them out, but for the sake of clarity, I like to separate it out like this. So lifestyle management, we're going to have to look at how am I living my life on a daily basis, and how much is what I'm doing on a daily basis either creating stress and dis-ease, or is it creating health and joy and happiness? Because if we're rushing around, stressed all the time, not eating properly, not taking breaks, putting too much on our to-do list, never saying no, pushing ourselves too hard, overworking, etc., 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 that is going to create a huge amount of stress and pressure inside the body, and that will contribute to the dis-ease, and it will prevent us getting well. So this is a very important part that we need to look at when we're working together. Then we have to look at people management. So what happens is we have people in our life and in our environment, and that could be family, it could be colleagues, it could be work. If we're at school, it'll be school, university, etc. And according to how we're relating with those people, we're going to have emotional feedback and emotional responses inside our body. And sometimes we're going to find it difficult to deal with people. And I'm sure you can probably relate that some people you get on really, really well with, and other people really get up your nose, or they really upset you, or make you feel angry, or whatever it is. Maybe they make you feel inferior. But whatever that feedback is, if again we're storing up that emotion and the emotional feelings inside our body, and we don't deal with those emotions, then they're going to create a backlog of emotional energy, which will again affect our well-being. And for example, if we have something like chronic fatigue or fibromyalgia, it's a sure sign that there is a lot of trapped, stored, some mostly unconscious emotions inside the body. So we need to identify what those are and then clear them, but we also need to learn how to deal with these people, especially if they're not treating us fairly. So this is a very common thing that I come across, is people not being able to put up boundaries, not knowing how to stop people walking all over them. Maybe they're experiencing emotional abuse, mental abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse. Obviously, this is the extreme form of people management. But if we're experiencing that, that is going to create a lot of emotion and hurt and pain and anger and frustration inside the body. And if we don't clear that emotion, and if we don't learn how to deal with those people to put a stop to that behavior, then things are not going to get better. So that is the fourth level of health management. The fifth level is self-management, which goes in tandem with the lifestyle management. But it goes even deeper, because the lifestyle management is more about how we manage our outside world, whereas the self-management is how we manage our inside world. And what we have to learn to do is to make ourselves our number one priority. Now, this can be quite difficult for a lot of people that I see initially, and it was for me too many years ago. But if we don't look after ourselves, in other words, if we don't put our oxygen mask on ourselves first, we can't help anybody else. So we have to learn how to take care of ourselves in a really practical way. And really, taking care of ourselves is the definition of self-love. So what we have to work through when we're working with this area is we're going to notice that the reason that we don't take care of ourselves is because we have unconscious feelings of low self-worth, low self-value, not feeling good enough, not deserving, etc., etc. So these are old unconscious beliefs which are usually created in the first years of life. So we need to learn how to turn this around so that we're nurturing our body rather than literally damaging our body, because we can either nurture or we can damage, and we've got to stop the self-damage. The next area is trauma management, and this is an area which is very difficult to do by oneself. Up until now, most of the techniques that I'm teaching people and working with people It's all about giving you the tools and the strategies to do this yourself. And this is what I love to do. I love empowering people to take back their power and to take control of their physical, mental, emotional, spiritual well-being, because this is the path that we humans are on, as far as I understand at this point in time. So what I love doing is giving people the tools, the techniques, the strategies to do it for themselves. And this is really, truly empowered healthcare. And once you've learned these strategies, you have them for the rest of your life. So you will be able to manage your symptoms, reduce your symptoms, prevent symptoms coming back for the rest of your life. Once you've learned these strategies, they're there. It's just like riding a bike, they're just there. Now, when we come to trauma management, that's a little bit different, because it's hard sometimes to see what's happened to us, and it's even harder sometimes to know how to clear that. So when we do the trauma management and the trauma clearing, and by the way, that doesn't mean we have to go back and relive the trauma. I have some amazing techniques for clearing the trauma with great ease and efficiency. But these are exercises, guided exercises, which I lead you through to clear past trauma and shocks. So for example, if we were hurt or abused or upset when something happened, if that energy is not cleared from the body, it literally stays in the cells and it blocks us from being able to do what we want to do in our life. Because when we have this stored trauma inside our body, it leads to what I call unconscious beliefs or limiting beliefs, which become transparent because we don't see them anymore, but we're living through them and we're behaving through them. And then we behave in a certain way as a result of these unconscious beliefs. And then we get the results that we don't want. So we have to clear this energy from the body. And I have some amazing tools and techniques to be able to do that. And then, depending on the amount of time that you elect to work with me, we start getting into energy management. And this is how to increase our life force energy inside our body, to gather that energy from the universe, and how to build our internal energy reserves, and how to take care of ourselves in order to prevent illness. And this is one of the highest forms of medicine, is to be able to prevent illness. So this is quite a high level of operation, and it's usually in the 6-month plus programs that we will start getting into this type of work together. We will also be doing mind management. So that means looking and discovering our beliefs and making sure that our beliefs are healthy and pro-life rather than unhealthy and anti-life. Because we can have a lot of unhealthy beliefs sitting in our unconscious, which are literally damaging us. So we need to start discovering what our beliefs are, what our patterns are, our patterns of thinking, and start changing that into a healthier form of brain working, if you like. And then we also can touch on, again, this will be in the longer programs, in what I call spiritual management. But that comes after everything else. We have to start with the foundation, and the foundation is the stress management, the emotional management, the lifestyle management, people management, self-management, and clearing trauma. Once we've done that, then we can go on to level 2, if you like, which is more the energy management and the spiritual management. And the mind management covers both levels, really. So we'll be touching on that in the first part of the work together, and then doing more of that later on as well. And when we do this and we look after these 9 levels of our well-being, then we're really moving towards self-mastery. And I define self-mastery as the ability to master one's mind, emotions, habits, behaviors, energy, physical body, and spiritual nature. So that is the 9 levels of, or the 9 pillars of health mastery. I hope that gives you a nice overview of the different areas of or your life that we would look at if we're going to do health coaching together. So I look forward to explaining more in some of the other videos.